Thank you. Please be seated. Fellow shareholders, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to the 55th Annual General Meeting of our company, which has been duly convened and properly constituted. I sincerely hope that you and your respective families are staying safe and healthy in these difficult times. In view of the COVID-19 pandemic and the attendant directives issued by relevant authorities on physical distancing and the limit on the maximum number of persons at a gathering, more than 20 persons, this AGM is being held by proxy in accordance with the Corporate Affairs Commission's guidelines on holding of annual general meetings, AGM of public companies using proxies, herein after referred to as CAC guidelines. May I call on our registrar, GTL Registrars and Data Services Limited, represented by Ms. Anne Mutu, to give us a proxy report for this AGM. And with your permission, may I sit down? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, board members, and esteemed shareholders. We hereby confirm that 7 proxies and 4 shareholders representing 1,155,720,168 units of shares have been recorded as being present at this meeting. This represents 99.37% of the issued share capital of the company. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Anne Mutu from GTL Registrars. This is a unique AGM in view of current realities, as it's also being streamed live to shareholders and other relevant stakeholders who are unable to be physically part of the proceedings. I would like to thank our shareholders in attendance physically. Mazi, especially, I'd like to welcome you. And all those who have joined virtually for the continued commitment to the May I use this opportunity to appreciate our regulators for taking proactive measures in ensuring that public companies can convene and conduct their AGMs in these difficult circumstances. Please be informed that microphones and amplifying equipment are being used for clear recording and broadcast of the proceedings. I will therefore request members to speak clearly into the microphone whenever you make a point or second a motion. We have a full agenda, and it might be helpful to explain that you will have the opportunity to second each motion put to the meeting. There will also be an opportunity for questions to be taken on that particular motion only before the vote on it is taken. Please be informed that the Register of Directors' Holdings is available for inspection during the meeting in accordance with Section 275, subsection 8 of the Company and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, hereinafter referred to as CAMA. Information in that regard is further contained on page 18 of the annual report and accounts. Also, in accordance with Section 258, subsection 2 of CAMA, the record of directors' attendance at board meetings is available for inspection at this meeting. The information is further contained on page 18 of the annual report and accounts. I will now introduce the directors physically present at this meeting. Mr. Ferdinand Moko, our Managing Director, CEO, and one of the proxies for this meeting. To my right is Mr. Olakunle Olusonya, our Company Secretary. The other directors of the company who are joining us virtually are Mr. Iyo Ziobeton, Non-Executive Director, Mr. Oliver Klein, Non-Executive Director. Dr. Babatunde Ajibade, SAN, and I am Olayinka Akekwe, Chairman of the Board and a non-executive chairman. Thank you. Thank you. The Chairman of the Audit Committee and a shareholder representative on the Audit Committee, Chief Odesanya, is here, representing other members of the committee. He's also one of the proxies for this meeting. To his right is Mr. Peter Yanaku, and to his right is Ms. Toyosi Kolawole. The firm of PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC, acted as our independent auditor. The firm is represented once again here by Mr. Dafe Ere, a partner in the firm. We also have, not quite in our midst, but virtually, Mr. Bola Jomale of the NASD. Thank you very much for being part of this meeting, sir. The Corporate Affairs Commission and Security and Exchange Commission informed us that they will be observing the proceedings via the live broadcast. Of course, we have already seen and heard from Ms. Ann Mutao of GTL Registrar and Data Services Limited. Thank you very much for being here. I introduced briefly, before now, the other proxies appointed for this meeting. Mazi Sam Pamugo, minority shareholder, and I believe Alhaji Mustafa Jinodu, minority shareholder, is on his way. Hopefully he'll join us in no long time. Be kindly informed that the chairman's address is on page 13 to 16 of the annual report and accounts. I hope and believe that everyone has seen the annual report and accounts, and I've had an opportunity to read it, especially the chairman's address. So with your kind permission, as it's long, I would like to keep this meeting brief and to the point. Thank you, sir. I now call on the company secretary to read the notice convening the meeting. Mr. Olusegun.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Notice of annual general meeting. Notice is ever given that the 55th annual general meeting of the members of Family PLC will be held at the Executive Lounge, Raleigh Cemetery, Ikeja, 42 Isaac John Street, Ikeja, Lagos, on 27th August 2020 at 12 noon or so soon. Thereafter, to transact the following businesses.
Attendees say that they can't hear Mr. Olusegun. The technical team, please ensure that those attending virtually are able to hear.
2. That the existing clause 3C be edited and retained as follows. To import powdered milk, vegetable oil, fats of animal origin, and all chemical additives, flavors, essence, and other substances requisite for the manufacture or production of the aforesaid wares, and for the manufacture and importation of bottles, jars, cans, cartons, other containers or materials for the production of such containers for the purposes of such packaging aforesaid. 3. That the existing clause 3B and D be made as new clause 3E as follows. To operate haulage for the purpose of production and distribution of the aforementioned products and materials requisite for the manufacture, and to undertake the business of contract packaging using the aforesaid goods or materials. Result, that any of the directors of the company and the company secretary of the company be and hereby severally authorized to do such as deeds, matters, and things as may be deemed proper, necessary, or expedient, including making necessary applications to the Corporate Affairs Commission for the purpose of giving connected therewith or incidental thereto to settle questions that may arise in this regard, or following directions that may be given by the Corporate Affairs Commission at NEC without requiring the board to secure any further consent or approval of the shareholders of the company by order of the board or Lanculuation. There are notes attached to the proxy, so I will just consider it deemed as read. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Olusanya. I hope the technical team are monitoring externally whether those who are participating virtually can hear the proceedings. It's very important. It's not just those of us in the room that need to be able to follow the proceedings of this meeting. Thank you. Item 1 on the agenda this morning is to lay before the meeting the report of the directors and the statement of financial position as at 31st of December 2019, together with the income statement for the year ended on that date and the reports of the independent auditor and the audit committee thereon. I hereby lay before you the director's report and statement of financial position as at 31st of December 2019, together with the income statement for the year ended on that date and the reports of the independent auditor and the audit committee thereon. Before we take questions or comments on the report and accounts, I will call on the independent auditor and the audit committee to present their respective reports. May I start with Mr. Edafe Eria, a partner in the firm of PricewaterhouseCoopers PwC, to present the independent auditor's report. No, it's okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our independent report is contained in the annual report from page 21 to 23. With the shareholders' permission, I will take the first two paragraphs and the last paragraph for the purpose of saving time. If you're happy with that. Okay. On page 21, report on the audit of the financial statements. In our opinion, FANMIC PLC, the company financial statement, give a true and fair view of the financial position of the company as at 31st December 2019, and of the financial performance and its cash flows for the year that ended in accordance with International Financial Reporting Standard and the required company and Allied Matters Act and the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria's Act. What have we audited? FANMIC PLC financial statement comprises the statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income for the year ended 31st December 2019, the statement of financial position as at 31st December 2019, statement of changes in equity for the year then ended, statement of cash flow for the year then ended, and the note for to the financial statement, which include a summary of significant accounting policies. We conducted our audit in accordance with international standard on auditing. Our responsibility under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibility paragraph of this report. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. Independence. We are independent of the company in accordance with the International Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants, including International Independent Standard, that is the IESBA code, issued by the International Ethics Standard Board for Accountants. We have fulfilled our other ethical responsibilities in accordance with the IESB code. I'll go to the last paragraph on page 23. Report on other legal and regulatory requirements. That's the last paragraph. The Companies and Allied Matters Act requires that in carrying out our audit, we consider and report back to you shareholders on the following matters. We therefore confirm that 1, we have obtained all the information and explanation which to the best of our knowledge and belief were necessary for the purpose of our audit. The company has kept proper books of account so far as appeared from our examination of those books, and return adequate for our audit have been received from branches not visited by us. 3, the company's statement of financial position and statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive are in agreement with the books of account. Signed by my humble self, Edafe on behalf of PricewaterhouseCoopers, dated 29 July 2020. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Edafe a partner in the firm of PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC. In accordance with the provisions of CAMA, members of the Audit Committee met in the course of the year to, amongst others, examine the report of the independent auditor, and the chairman of the committee is here today to present their reports. I now call on Chief Adekunle Odesanya to present the committee's reports.
Mr. Chairman, sir, members of the board, and fellow shareholders, I'm taking the report of the Audit Committee, the behalf of FAMIC PLC 2019, annual report. To the shareholders of the FAMIC PLC, in accordance with the provisions of Section 359, subsection 6 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004. We, Audit Committee, have reviewed the audited financial statements of the company for the year ended 31st December 2019 and hereby report as follows. A, the accounting and reporting policies of the company are consistent with legal requirements and agreed ethical practices. B, the scope and planning of the external audit was adequate. C, the company maintained effective systems of accounting and internal controls during the year. D, having reviewed the internal auditor's findings and recommendations on management matters, we are satisfied with the management responses thereon. Dated this 28th day of July 2020, signed by my humble self, Adekunle Olushola Odesanya, Chairman of the Committee. I will hereby read the names of the members of the Audit Committee, and with due respect, please you will stand up and take a bow. My humble self, O. Adekunle Odesanya. Take a bow. May I also call Ms. Toyosi Kolawole. Next to her is Mr. Peter Enyanaku. Next on the list, a member of the board. Mr. Kigbe was formerly our member, but now the chairman of the board of directors. May I still call your name, please? Okay. Thank you for your efforts. Also, Dr. Babatunde A.M. Ajibade-san. I think he's not present here now. Lastly, Mr. Kalma Moyo. I think he's retired now, but he was a member then. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you, Chief Adekunle Odesanya. Please take a bow, final bow for us. Thank you. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my colleagues and I will be pleased to answer any questions which you may have on the report and accounts before we proceed to the next item on the agenda. If you have any follow-up questions, or for those who are not physically present, follow-up questions and comments could also be sent to the email address info@gtlregistrars.com. That's info, I-N-F-O, at gtlregistrars with an S.com. Mazi. I think if you advance to the microphone on the... Yeah.
You know I'm very tall. Okay.
Your screen might present a problem.
Okay, let me...
Yeah. We are all protecting you by being suitably masked.
Mr. Chairman of a great company, the board of directors, as well as my fellow shareholders, it gives me pleasure to be here to be one of the participants of this annual general meeting. Let me first express my thanks to the company secretary who just invited me a few days ago. But however, because of the interest I have for this company, I have to honor this invitation, irrespective of the short notice. Well, going through the account, of course, I'm just collecting the account reports here, the annual report here. But for the fact that we have been long in this type of business, I'm able to peruse through some of the areas of we are counted to be very important to comment. That is going by the highlights of the year ending 2019. Will I say now that we are seeing a light at the end of the tunnel by the turnover as well as profits and loss before tax and profit after tax, which is well explained. Page 13. The growth in revenue went up to 21%. And now growth in profitability, very high, so to say, because at this time of pandemic, it is difficult to see the indices going up. It is always down. So I must applaud the effort of the directors, the management, for handling this company in such an impressive manner. Though you know, every one of you know that when I come to AGM, I'm not a praise singer. I always criticize where it becomes necessary to criticize, and the reason is so that we can make improvements. There is nothing as good as one having a good record that during my time we have positive changes, you see. So it will even make the shareholders to pray for you. That is very important in life, not to accumulate weight at the detriment of the masses, as we are seeing in most cases. So I encourage you people to continue making progress. It's true that this pandemic has worsened not only in Nigeria, the entire globe. We are finding things going down, lockdown in everything. But I believe by the grace of God and with the prudent management of the company, directors, management team, definitely we are going to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And this will brighten the face of the shareholders. Because for how many years now we have not gotten any dividend? And the purpose of investing is to get dividends, no matter how small. By the time you pay it, the shareholders will be obliged to praise and thank God for you people. So I encourage you people to work more harder within your ability to make this company stand and continue to go upward. Like I said, because I got this annual report, now I cannot go further than what I've been able to say now. And when it comes to our external auditor as well as the internal auditor, I praise you people too, especially the external auditor, Price Waterhouse Copper. Whenever they append their signature in any of our AGM, we are the shareholders of many companies. When we see their signature, we don't have reason to question whether this is authentic or not. It is. So I pray you continue making progress. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and my fellow shareholders.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your positive comments, Mazi Panugo. Credit for the progress we have made must go, of course, to the executive management of the company led by Mr. Ferdinand Moko, and they've done an excellent job. I'm reminded by a comment I once heard that when you see a light at the end of the tunnel, you should make sure that it's not a train coming in the opposite direction. I say that purely because we have made significant progress, and this has been very pleasing to the board, but the pandemic, of course, has meant that we have new challenges. It's my hope that in fact, I can say that I'm sure the management will be able to rise to the occasion and deal with those challenges in a way that will not interfere with our upward trajectory. I'm very proud of the work they have done, and that's why I'm particularly happy that Mazi, who is not a praise singer, has found reason to encourage us this morning. Thank you, sir. Any other questions? Or comments? Once again, I'd like to thank our shareholders for their comments, and I hope that their questions will still come. I remind you that they can be sent to the email address info@gtlregistrars.com, and the company executive will be sure to give appropriate answers to any questions that are asked. Having dealt with the first item, we can now move to other items on the agenda. In view of the nature of this meeting and to ensure that the voting wishes of shareholders as contained in the proxy forms are captured under section 224 subsection 1 brackets A of comma and article 71 of the Articles of Association, hereby declare that voting at this meeting shall be by poll except for the item on the agenda relating to the election of members of the Audit Committee. Please note that only ordinary resolutions are required for all the items. That is, a simple majority of the votes would suffice for each resolution. The next item on the agenda is to re-elect directors. As this item concerns me, it's my pleasure to call on the Managing Director, CEO, Mr. Ferdinand Moko, to chair this part of the proceedings. It won't be necessary for us to switch seats. I shall merely shift the chairmanship to him. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You will have seen from the report of the directors that 2 directors are due for re-election in line with Article 97 of the Articles of Association. There are Mr. Olayinka Akinkunbi. Thank you. And Dr. Babatunde Ajibade. The first director seeking re-election is Mr. Olayinka Akinkunbi. hereby move that Mr. Olayinka Akikunbe be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. Thank you very much. Is there any question before we move, before the motion is put to the meeting? Thank you. I now put the motion to the meeting. I hereby direct that the votes be taken forthwith by the use of the voting device given to you on arrival. Please. The independent auditor will act as the scrutineer. I now call on the registrar to conduct the voting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We shall have a quick run through of the instructions for voting before we proceed with the voting. Shall we have the slide projected, please? Okay. An electronic device was issued to you when you got here. The device has been activated and is ready for use. A resolution will be announced and voting for the resolution will commence after the announcement. On the voting pad, 1 represents yes, 2 represents no, and 3 represents abstain. So you press 1 if you have a yes, you are voting for the resolution, 2 if you are against, and 3 if you are abstaining. Voting for a resolution commences and ends in 30 seconds, so it will be put up there and count. The count will commence after it is announced. Voting results will be displayed immediately. Each voting session ends. Unit holding indicated on the results slide is in shareholding percentage and also in unit holding. Thank you. We shall now cast a vote. I would announce and we start. Voting starts now.
Is this for Mr. Oliver Klein?
Yes, to elect Mr. Oliver Klein. Oh, sorry, we're electing the chairman.
Well, that's why I was a little confused.
Yes, we've not taken this, please. It's for the chairman.
Confirm that it's me.
Okay, so we're voting for Mr. Olayinka, the re-election of Mr. Olayinka Akinkugbe. Please, voting starts. Shall we have that slide, please? Just a minute, please. Are you ready? We can vote. We crave your indulgence. Are we ready now? Okay. Voting starts now. You may please vote. Yes. Yes, press once, please. Thank you.
I take it that's not the votes going down.
Not at all. Okay, voting has ended. On the resolution to re-elect Mr. Olayinka O. Akinkube as the director, shall we have that result, please? Well, we saw it projected, so I think. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Chief, ladies, gentlemen, based on the results as verified by the independent auditor, I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried. That concludes my assignment. I now call Mr. Chairman to continue with the proceedings. Mr. Chairman, sir.
Thank you very much. We voted for me as director, and somehow I was immediately promoted to chairman. But that's the nature of these things. Thank you very much, MD. The second director seeking re-election is Dr. Babatunde Ajibade, SAN. He, of course, is not present in the room, but he is present virtually, and he has been in contact with me just a few seconds ago. He's seeking a re-election, and I hereby move that Dr. Babatunde Ajibade, SAN, be and is hereby re-elected as a director of the company. Would someone please rise and second this motion? Thank you very much, Mr. Ayano. I now put, is there any question before the motion is put to the meeting? No. Not from you. From anyone else? Circumstances. Thank you very much. I now put the motion to the meeting. I hereby direct that the votes be taken forthwith by the use of the same voting devices given to you on arrival. The independent auditor will please act as a scrutineer, and I invite the registrar to please conduct the voting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Shall we have that slide, please? Okay. Voting starts now. Please vote. Okay. Voting has ended. On the resolution to re-elect Dr. Babatunde Ajibade as a director, we have 100% votes in favor of the resolution. Thank you.
On his behalf, I'd like to thank you for showing the confidence in Dr. Ajibade and voting for him to continue as a director of FANMIC. Chiefs, ladies and gentlemen, based on the results as verified by the independent auditor, I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried. We now have the election of new directors seeking election. The first is Mr. Yeo Ziobaton. I hereby move that Mr. Yeo Ziobaton be and is hereby elected as a director of the company. He is also present virtually. Would someone please rise and second this motion? Mazi, thank you. We're very dependent on you this afternoon. A seconder? Chief Adekunle Adesanya, thank you so much, sir. Is there any question before the motion is put to the meeting? Thank you. I now put the motion to the meeting. I hereby direct that the votes be taken forthwith, once again by the use of the voting device given to you on arrival, and I also once again ask the independent auditor to act as scrutineer and invite the registrar to conduct the voting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Voting starts now. Please, you may vote. Yes. Voting has ended. On the resolution to elect a director, Mr. Yeo Ziobaton, we have 100% votes in favor of the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. On his behalf, I'd like to thank you once again. He's a valuable director of the company. Chiefs, ladies and gentlemen, based on the results as verified by the independent auditor, Mr. Dafe, thank you. I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried. The second director seeking election is Mr. Oliver Klein, who is also attending the meeting virtually. Would someone, I hereby move that Mr. Oliver Klein be and is hereby elected the director of the company. Would someone please rise and second this motion?
I, Mazi Mpamugu, I second that motion.
Thank you, sir. Any question before the motion is put to the meeting? Thank you. I now put the motion to the meeting. I hereby direct that the votes be taken forthwith by the use of the voting device again. The independent auditor will please assist us by acting once again as scrutineer, and I invite the registrar to conduct the voting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Voting starts now. Please vote. The timer is not correct, please. Can we have it read 30 seconds? Or do we take that again? Let us have the slide, please. Sorry? Have we voted? Do we take it again? Okay. Okay. On the resolution to elect Mr. Oliver Klein as a director, We have 100% votes in favor of the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ann Tao. Ladies and gentlemen, based on the results as verified by Mr. Dafe Area, the independent auditor, I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried. And we welcome once again Mr. Oliver Klein to the board. On behalf of all elected and re-elected directors, we'd like to profoundly thank all our shareholders for the confidence reposed in us to continue to serve as directors in our great company and promise to continue to act in the best interests of the company. The next item on the agenda is to authorize directors to fix the remuneration of the independent auditor. Section 361, subsection 1B of CAMA requires that the remuneration be fixed by the company in general meeting or in such a manner as the company in general meeting may determine. I accordingly hereby move that the directors be, and they are hereby authorized to fix the remuneration of the independent auditor for the year ending 31st of December 2019. Would someone please rise and second the motion?
Mr. Chairman, I still have the opportunity to put on motion. I second that motion.
Thank you very much, Mazi. By the time this meeting is concluded, you would have set a record and a worthwhile one. Is there any question before the motion is put to the meeting? I now put the motion to the meeting. I hereby direct that the vote be taken to the voting device, and I invite the registrar to conduct the voting. There will be no Mr. Dafe as scrutineer for this one.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Voting starts now. Please vote. Voting has ended. On the resolution to authorize the directors to fix the auditor's remuneration, we have 100% votes in favor of the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, based on the results presented by the registrar, I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried. The next item on the agenda is the election of members of the Audit Committee. In accordance with Section 359, subsection 4 of CAMA, members of the Audit Committee are subject to election annually. Section 359, subsection 5 requires that they be formally nominated. Accordingly, 2 valid nominations were received from shareholders of the members to represent them in the Audit Committee. The nominations are Chief Adekunle Odesanya, nominated by Razaki Alaka, and Mr. Peter Iyanuku, nominated by Mr. Orefunwa. For the avoidance of doubts, since we have the exact numbers of nominated shareholders, we do not require to take a vote. It is my pleasure to inform you that the Board of Directors has nominated the 2 directors to represent the board in the Audit Committee of the company, Dr. Babatunde Ajibade, SAN, and Mr. Oliver Klein. Following from the nominations, I now put the motion proper to the meeting. I hereby move that the following shareholders' representatives, Chief Adekunle Odesanya, Mr. Peter Iyanuku, as well as the following directors' representatives, Dr. Babatunde Ajibade, SAN, Mr. Oliver Klein, be and they are hereby nominated as members of the Audit Committee. Would someone please rise and second the motion?
I also second that motion.
Thank you very much, Mazi. Would all those in favor of this motion please signify by raising the admission cards? Well, this is not actually relevant. I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried. The next item on the agenda is to fix the remuneration of the directors. Please be informed that as required by CAC guidelines, the approval of the Corporate Affairs Commission was obtained for this item, being a special business to be included as part of the agenda for this AGM. In accordance with Article 84 of the Articles of Association of the company, I hereby move that the remuneration of the directors in respect of the year ending 31st of December 2019, the board has agreed that the directors' fees shall remain the same with no increase, considering the current economic situation. Would someone please rise and second the motion?
Mr. Chairman, before I what? Check.
Much as I wish that you sign a blank check, the director's fees are 3.6 million for the chairman and 2.4 million each for others.
For the fact that the directors are working very hard, the evidence from the report, which I'm having in my hand now, I move that.
Thank you, sir. I'm sure the directors will work even harder to make sure that they can earn more in the future. Is there any question before the motion is put to the meeting? I now put the motion to the meeting. I hereby direct that the votes be taken with the voting device, and the independent auditor will please assist us by acting as scrutineer, and Ms. Anne Utao to please, as registrar, conduct the voting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Voting starts now. It's to fix the remuneration of the directors. It's the director's remuneration, not the auditor's, please. Shall we vote now? Let's give them a minute. Apologies for the slight delay. We can take the resolution now. Can we please display the slide? Yes. But we have it should come up.
It appears the old-fashioned way was working.
Okay, all right. We can now take the vote. Voting starts now. On the resolution to authorize the fixing of the remuneration of the directors, we have 100% votes in favor of the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, based on the results as verified by the independent auditor, I hereby declare that the motion has been carried. The last item on the agenda is to change the object clause of the Memorandum of Association of the company. That pursuant to the provisions of sections 45 and 46 of the Company and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, including any modifications thereof, the main objects clause of the Memorandum of Association of the company in clause 3B to D thereof be and is hereby altered and amended as follows. That the existing clause 3B be substituted with the following. To import yogurt, water, infant milk formula, cereals, dairy and dairy derivatives and other plant-based products, and all substances required for the manufacture or production of drink, breast milk substitutes, and meal products for infants, growing children, and young adults. That the existing clause 3C be edited and retained as follows. To import powdered milk, vegetable oils, fat of animal origin, and all chemical preservatives, flavors, and essences, and other substances requisite for the manufacture or production of the aforesaid wares, and for the manufacture and importation of bottles, jars, cans, cartons, or other containers or materials for the production of such containers for the purposes of such packing as aforesaid. That the existing clause 3B and D be merged as a new clause 3D as follows. To operate haulage for the purposes of production, to operate haulage for the purpose of production and distribution of the aforementioned products and materials requisite for their manufacture, and to undertake the business of contract packing using the aforesaid goods or materials. That any of the directors of the company and the company secretary of the company be and are hereby severally authorized to do all such acts, deeds, matters, and things as may be deemed proper, necessary, or expedient, including making necessary applications at the Corporate Affairs Commission for the purpose of giving effect to this resolution and for matters connected therewith or incidental thereto, and to settle all questions that may arise in this regard or following directions that may be given by the Corporate Affairs Commission at any stage without requiring the board to secure any further consent or approval of the shareholders of the company. Fellow shareholders, in accordance with the Articles of Association of the company, I hereby move that pursuant to the provisions of Section 45 and 46 of the Company and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, including any modifications thereof, the main objects clause of the Memorandum of Association of the company in clause 3B to D thereof be and is hereby altered and amended as follows. That the existing clause B be substituted with the following: to import yogurt water, infant milk formula, cereals, dairy and dairy derivatives, and other plant-based products, and all substances required for the manufacture or production of drink, breast milk substitutes, and meal products for infants, growing children, and young adults. 5, that the existing clause 3C be edited and retained as follows: to import powdered milk, vegetable oils, fats of animal origin, and all chemical preservatives, flavors, and essences, and other substances requisite for the manufacture or production of aforesaid wares and for the manufacture and importation of bottles, jars, cans, cartons, or other containers or materials for the production of such containers for the purpose of such packing as aforesaid. That the existing clause 3B and D be merged as a new clause 3D as follows: to operate haulage for the purpose of production and distribution of the aforementioned products and materials requisite for their manufacture, and to undertake the business of contract packing using the aforesaid goods or materials. That any of the directors of the company and the company secretary of the company be and are hereby severally authorized to do all such acts, deeds, matters, and things as may be deemed proper, necessary, or expedient, including making necessary applications of the Corporate Affairs Commission for the purpose of giving effect to this resolution and for matters connected therewith or incidental thereto, and to settle all questions that may arise in this regard or following directions that may be given by the Corporate Affairs Commission at any stage without requiring the board to secure any further consent or approval of the shareholders of the company. Will someone please rise and second the motion?
I rise to second that motion.
Thank you.
Motion.
Thank you very much. My indefatigable seconder, Mazi Panugo. Is there any question before the meeting is put, before the motion is put to the meeting? I now put the motion to the meeting. I hereby direct that the vote be taken forthwith by the use of the voting device. The independent auditor will please act as a scrutineer, and I now invite the registrar, Ms. Anne Mutau, to please conduct the voting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, voting starts now. Not counting. Shall we have the result displayed, please? Shall we vote again or we have the results? Okay, so please can we show that?
Very happy?
Well, we saw 100%. Okay. So on the resolution to approve the change of the object clause of the memorandum of and articles of the company, we have 100% votes in favor of the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Anne Mutau, Mr. Edafe Ere. Ladies and gentlemen, based on the results as verified by our independent auditor, I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried. Distinguished fellow shareholders, ladies and gentlemen, we have dealt with the formal business, and I'd like to thank you on behalf of the board for your continuing interest in the company's affairs. I'd also like to pray that God grant all of us journey mercies and continue to protect us and our families during these very difficult times. I'd pray also that we never have another year in our lifetimes of any pandemic. I now declare the meeting closed. Thank you.